guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about She-Ras.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about some of the new toys coming out too?
We are.
And mostly I want to talk about the new toys coming out, because that seems to annoy them more than anything.
Yeah, it does. So we're going to do a follow-up to a video we did the other day talking about how Mattel seems to be tripling down on classic She-Ra and He-Man.
Well, at least He-Man.
Yeah, well,
but there's evidence it's going to be She-Ra too.
There is, and we'll talk about that. And fans of the new show are not happy, to put it mildly.
Yeah, what difference does it make? As they like to tell us all the time, well, your show's over, get over it. Well, your show's over, get over it. You still have your show, go watch your show. That's what you used to tell me. Well, if you don't like it, then you know, go watch the one you like. Okay, fine. Right back at you. Go watch the one you like. Problem solved. But I had some person tell me today that that the new show and the creators of the new version are going to be remembered long after the He-Man and She-Ra toy show versions are.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the comments. We've been getting some every time we do a She-Ra video, we get some really interesting comments. We're going to pull some of those up a bit later, but we're going to talk about the state of Mattel and the toys that are coming out and all of that. Before we get into it, we've only got a little over a day yet on the Clownfish TV enamel pin, official enamel pin.
Time flies.
Bubbly Steve, you can go to shopclownfish.com and pre-order that. When they're gone, they're gone.
But so we hit the minimum threshold, so they for sure will be done.
Oh, we blew past the minimum
yes, thank
threshold.
you.
Thank you very much.
You guys, if you want one and you're worried, well, if they don't hit enough, I won't get one. It's way past that. Everybody who orders one will be getting their pin.
Many, many times past that. So thank you very much, guys. This is a good test market. We're test marketing, and we're going to talk about that because you did put this out there talking about. We're going to talk about all the stuff going on with Mattel too. But interesting, you had Aaron, who's been on the channel, Aaron Sparrow, who's been on the channel before, basically saying that a simple test of the theory is in the merchandise. Classic She-Ra continues to sell merch 30 years later. New She-Ra couldn't move merch while it was on and at the height of its popularity.
It's true.
Will there be a wave of nostalgia for it in the future? Maybe, but unlikely. So, you know, that's the thing. And before we talk about, you know, all this stuff coming out, you know, we're buying. We are.
We've been going to Walmart every day, stocking Walmart, sometimes twice a day to get the new stuff. We do know the lady was nice enough to scan it for us, and it is coming. It's just not, the figures aren't all there. They're coming later this week. Yeah,
the 15th, she said. A lot of people said that they don't think the single action figures other than He-Man and Skeletor are shipping. They actually are. Pretty soon they're like the last ones. Now it's really interesting how they're doing it this time though, because what kind of killed the 2002 line was the glut of He-Man and Skeletor.
Yes.
And now they're separating, it seems like they're separating He-Man and Skeletor from the rest of the assortment of figures. So you can order He-Man and Skeletor as needed, and then the rest of the figures come in an assortment. Solves a huge problem. Thank God Mattel learned.
Yes.
Mattel seems to learn. But let's talk about the state of Mattel, and then we're going to talk about some more She-Ra merchandise and some more evidence that possibly maybe Mattel is just going back to She-Ra.
Going back to what works?
Going back to what works. So let's talk about the state of Mattel. MGA is Mattel's rival. They created Bratz, which was actually, I believe, created by an ex-Mattel employee. And MGA has actually pulled ahead of Mattel, I think, in the doll market. And they were going to try to buy Mattel last year. Mattel is not in good shape at all. And the MGA CEO said last year, Mattel will be bankrupt within a year or so after the takeover bid was rejected. I think Hasbro's been looking at them too, but Hasbro at that point I think would be almost a monopoly because they own so many other toy companies. But Mattel is not in good shape. So Mattel needs to sell stuff. You know, Mattel just had their quarterly earnings call a couple weeks ago. Second quarter sales decline in all toy categories, despite the industry overall doing better. Yeah,
here's the thing. They had successful things and they got rid of them or they changed them for no good reason. Monster High comes to mind. And they were very, very popular, and then they made bad decisions to change things. And then it just stopped because people just didn't like it anymore because they made changes. Barbie is one of their bread and butter, but then people aren't buying all the different body types a lot of times. Now personally, I like that they have different body types for dolls. I think that I can understand why they did that, and I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea.
But when you go to the stores as a mom and somebody who would buy the toys and have kids or would teach kids that see what the kids would want, they weren't asking for those usually. They were asking for the Barbie sets. Like, I want the Barbie astronaut. I want the Barbie beekeeper. I want, they were asking for those dolls. They oftentimes don't ask for the ones that are different. They want Barbie, and they kind of doubled down on the different body types and different fashion dolls and all that. And their bread and butter still was the basic Barbie babysitter. They wanted those toys. That's what they wanted. And I think that because maybe they're not listening to the right people, these are people that don't know the market the way like a parent would.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be honest, and I do think that there is a place for that. I think the I guess I don't know what you call them, the diverse Barbies, it's almost like a niche item, because everybody is, I mean, since we're talking diversity, everybody's different. Everybody's gonna be looking for different things. I almost feel like those Barbies should be almost like a special order or something.
Yeah, or just maybe not, because
have a catalog with, if you want a Barbie that looks like you, since everybody's different.
They do that with American Girl.
Yeah, here's a catalog. You can order a Barbie that looks like you, but the thing is that, when you're stocking Walmarts with them, you kind of have to go middle of the road.
Right. Yes. And what happens is, when you have a clearance section, they almost always are in the clearance section. If they have any Barbies that are regular Barbies that make it to clearance, which doesn't usually happen, they're the first ones to be snapped up. They're gone, and the other ones are left on the shelves. I'm sorry, as a mom, as somebody who like I said, has kids, works with kids, this is what, they're not buying these. I mean, they're not. I mean, that's just the way it is. And we saw that with the, wasn't it Mattel that was the one that did the doll that you could choose a gender and all that?
Which is a good idea on paper.
Yeah, I appreciate the thought behind it. But again, there's not the market for it. And that's the whole thing. Even the She-Ra argument, where it's going to come down to market. You have to have a market for these items. If there isn't a market for your show, or a market for or the market's very limited, you're not going to make the money you need to do to move forward. And Mattel has they got rid of Monster High, which was crazy popular.
That was the stupidest thing.
Yeah, they keep making these choices for toys that I don't think are smart choices. Now, He-Man coming back is a very smart choice. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, I think Mattel's going back to basics because they went down this road, and they do have a new CEO. They had a guy take over. I think he was into YouTube. He was actually the head of Maker Studios, I think, for a while. I think he's the new CEO now. But they had somebody for a while who was, and this is where I think, or how I think She-Ra got greenlit, was we had somebody that was basically all about, diversity and inclusion.
That's how I got these dolls too.
And that's great, but you also have to have the money rolling in to be able to
you have to balance it. And I think they go too far in on something that's not going to sell, and that's what they did. I mean, diversity should exist. I 100% agree. However, you need to understand, you need to temper it to the market. And that's what they're not doing. Like right now, they have a Barbie in a wheelchair, and people keep buying them. Yeah. Because it's like, my daughter isn't into Barbies anymore. She hasn't been the last couple of years, even though she does want those new rainbow high dolls. Anyway, the Barbie in the wheelchair was amazing. And if she had been still into Barbie, she would have totally bought it, because she was like, love that they were doing more inclusive dolls like that. Mm-hmm. So, because I noticed when they talk about like diversity, they always they seem to exclude people with handicaps. Do you notice that? It's always about, when they say diversity, they mean usually fat people and
fat people with purple hair. That's basically.
I'm a fat person. Fatter people, different body shapes, and for some reason they keep thinking fat women always have tiny boobs. I don't get that one either. And different. That's diversity. They're not straight. They're not white, and they're fat. That's their diversity. And they don't have like
so
blind Barbie or glimmer. Yeah. They don't have, the Barbie in a wheelchair was like a huge thing. Walmart had done a doll that, now this wasn't Mattel, but I think that they started adapting Barbies to this because of it. Walmart had done a doll with a leg, it was like an amputee, and it had like a fake leg.
Yeah.
And people went nuts for it. And then now they're doing Barbies and things like that are like that. But it's just, you're not picking the right battles, I think. You can dip a toe into this, but I think you shouldn't dip your whole body into it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they saw an increase over what they thought because, you know, people were in lockdown, so they're buying toys, but basically not what they need to save the company long term. So I think what they're scrambling to do is bring back stuff that sells. And one of their biggest sellers of all time is Masters of the Universe, Princesses of Power. So we're seeing all the new old He-Man stuff come out. And I'm going to put a link to this video because I don't know if this is Hebrew. I don't know if they still have it up at PowerCon, but this was the PowerCon slide. I
kept forgetting to go because I was working on our daughter's room, and I wanted to go to these panels, and I had the Zoom room set up. I had Geeky Sparkles as my name, and I didn't get to go.
Yeah. So anyway, what was really interesting about this, because we thought that She-Ra was going to be kind of a one-off PowerCon exclusive, the brushable hair.
Yeah.
Classics or Origins, I guess. Classics is a different line. Origins She-Ra. She's on the back of the box for PANTHOR.
And it says new for 21.
New for 21. So I think She-Ra, classic She-Ra, is going to be available at retail too. I think she's coming out as a PowerCon exclusive first, but I think she's coming to retail, and I have to wonder if she sells well, if we won't see Catra, if we won't see some other...
Don't even wait for that. We want Catra, we want Glimmer, we want, you know, Frosta, we want all the figures, we want them. We want them. I am telling you, even though He-Man collectors are going to want them too. Because, you know, a lot of guys collected the She-Ra line too, because it was all part of the Masters of the Universe franchise in general. People were going to buy it. They have brushable flippin' hair.
I had, as a kid, I'll tell you right now, and I'm secure in my masculinity, I had a She-Ra and a bow. In addition to my massive Masters of the Universe collection.
You used to run them back to back.
I went to go see the movie, but this, I'm like, I need to have. I mean, look, they marketed She-Ra to boys too because they
marketed He-Man to girls too.
Yes,
because once upon a time, back in the day, and Kneon can vouch, and a lot of you can vouch, toy lines were marketed to both. Like, boys and girls both had Care Bears. Boys and girls both had Cabbage Patch Kids. Boys and girls both played Nintendo. Boys and girls both had He-Man and She-Ra figures. They would market it to both.
Yeah, you want to talk about, you know, being, I guess, you know, more inclusive and gender neutral. Toys back in the 80s, for the most part, were. I mean, you had the pink aisle, which was Barbie, you know, and you had, you know, some toys like Hot Wheels, I guess, that were definitely more boy oriented. But
yeah, but I played with them.
Yeah, but most of the toy lines back then, and they did this deliberately because they knew that like the brothers and sisters were watching. So when you were watching My Little Pony, or at least the original, you know, My Little Pony cartoon, they knew that
fought Satan.
They basically fought Satan because they knew little boys.
So the Care Bears.
So the Care Bears, they fought, you know. So it was for kids just in general.
Evil was truly evil, and you just couldn't hug it out.
You couldn't hug it out. So anyway, yeah, we're getting ass-kicking original She-Ra back, but that's not all. So, you know, here's the thing that's interesting about DreamWorks She-Ra 2 is when I was looking up articles, you look at the time frame, they dumped 5 seasons. This is Netflix we're talking about.
So you're talking like, you know, could be 5 episodes, could be 12. Right. It varied.
Basically an episode dump, but they dumped the entire show within a year and a half. And I think part of the reason they did it, because normally they probably would stretch it out more, part of the reason they did it is Mattel wanted to clear their plate, clean the plate, so they had, you know, they could dump the 2 new Masters of the Universe shows and bring all the toys out.
Right.
And people are like, there's one comment, we'll have to read it, where they basically are saying that we're only getting new He-Man because She-Ra did so well on Netflix. These toys were in production probably while new She-Ra was on, because they showed the mock-ups of them last year at San Diego Comic-Con last year.
I want to point out too that these aren't kit bash. Like the She-Ra dolls were basically kit. I mean, Mattel. To be, like I said before, I said it again. To be fair, Mattel kit bashes things. So you know, I mean, that's a Mattel thing to do. But the She-Ra dolls felt like they were just thrown together with whatever they had just to get something out. You know, hurry up and crap it out before the end. And Mattel wouldn't even retweet the show or anything for the most part until the toys came out at the very, very, very end.
That was weird. And you know, I have to tell you, they did not plan toys for She-Ra, or they would have been available at launch. I think DreamWorks She-Ra was just kind of free floating out there. I think Mattel, the previous CEO, licensed the She-Ra concept out to DreamWorks, because at that point they really weren't doing much at Mattel. Even the toys were being shopped out to Super 7. At that point, they weren't doing much with it, so they ran with it, did their own thing. Mattel wasn't going to make toys until the very, very end, when they got backlash for not having toys. They're like, fine, we'll take some Monster High dolls, we'll repaint them. Yeah. Boom. She-Ra.
Yeah, you know? So, I mean, or whatever they used. But here's the thing, too. A couple people keep pushing, they keep pointing out, well, the original show was just to sell toys. Well, just because something sells toys doesn't mean that it's a bad show. But you know what else sells a shit ton of toys? Trolls. You know who else owns Trolls? DreamWorks. Yeah, that stuff can be a good show and sell a shit ton of toys.
Certain troll toys won't be selling anytime soon.
Oh, I know. I immediately, as a mom, knew that was because when she sat down, probably like, oops, hee hee. But yeah, that was a really big mistake. And that never should have happened.
What's the name of that doll? Touch Me There, Poppy? Touch Me There?
No, it's not what the name of the doll is.
Bad Touch Poppy?
Bad Touch Poppy. Yeah. No,
She's going to go for a lot on eBay. You know
I'm sure right? She is. Everybody's going to go out and buy her. You know, I knew as soon as I saw that I'm like, oh, because when she falls down, she makes the noise. But it was a very unfortunate idea. Let's just go there. And okay, so you were talking about, oh, yes.
Yeah, I want to bring this up because you had people commenting that they don't buy toys, but they would buy the hell out of t-shirts, backpacks.
Yes, Her Universe did merchandise. Now
like
it was limited. No, they had a couple things. They had a couple shirts, and they had and the one shirt is Princess of Power, and other than the sword being on the back of it, it could have been either She-Ra. And then they had a sweatshirt, and then they had, like someone pointed out, the Star Trek red shirt Catra.
I was gonna say, I thought that was Star Trek.
So did I when I saw it.
Yeah, I was like, this looked like Star Trek. It's not until you look at the back with the mask.
But that's actually that looks like the old Catra.
It does
more than the new. But anyway. Then they have, I hadn't checked this in a while till someone said that, because I was going to point out, well, yeah, Hot Topic did, you know? And then I went to Hot Topic, and I checked before for She-Ra and Hot Topic a few months ago, and there was just like the new stuff. There is a crap ton of She-Ra t-shirts, all classic, all copyright Mattel.
All classic.
On Hot Topic right now. So letting you know that if you want classic She-Ra, you can get the heck out of it right now on Hot Topic. Yeah, see? You know, Mattel.
Yeah. So look, I'm telling you, it's there. They know where the money is. They need to make money.
I like the one with the hair. See the one with the hair?
This one's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
brushable power.
It reminds me of like the old boxes and the old art, box art type stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of classic She-Ra on there, and there's only a couple things that are left over from the other show. But yeah, we keep getting these comments like, well, and it's always the same thing. Always the same thing. It's because it was made to sell toys. Like, that's a bad thing. I'm like, so what? One, it wasn't. If you know the history of She-Ra, if you actually go out and, you know, learn about it before you open your mouth instead of just repeating what they tell you, you'll find out that is not just the case. It was made, one, for boys and girls. Two, yeah, they wanted to sell toys, but they hired Funimation because they gave both He-Man and She-Ra like huge stories, and you know, they made it into a show. It wasn't just toys. They took everything and just turned it into some epic show. So people, you know, the reason people feel so strongly about He-Man and She-Ra is not just that you have the toys that you remember as a kid, but you had the show that you loved. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. You can like the new show. I've said that before. But I'm allowed to like the old one. And I'm tired of them saying, you know, and then when you talk to them, did you watch the old one? No.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of that. So,
did you watch the new one? Yes, I did. I did, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, you actually watched up through what, season 4?
Yeah, and then I just couldn't, when they were having a party for her coronation because her mom's dead, I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, because what's going on here? Yeah, here's a Master of the Universe He-Man sword. So they have, yeah, they're banking on classic. Like all these new shirts are classic She-Ra, and there's a ton of them. There's like so many classic She-Ra shirts.
Yeah, vote with your wallets. That's what I always say. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much people want to, you know, go on about the new show's better, the new show this, people didn't vote with their wallets.
No, because the toys, I mean, yeah, the toys are expensive now because there weren't very many produced, but at the time they were on clearance for like $3 each in January.
But I mean, to be fair, I mean, if I'm going to be fair though, they didn't have as many options to vote with their wallets, but even when they had the option to vote with their wallets, they didn't seem to do so.
No, right now, again, Mattel, not in a good place.
Buy the crap out of the He-Man stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, but yeah, they've been producing classics all along.
Oh, for years.
For years. And at first it was Mattel, the collector, Maddie Collector, and then they kicked it over to Super 7 to do the figures. So yeah, they've been producing He-Man for the collector market. Now, everybody's talking about, you know, She-Ra coming back for a 6th season. That's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I could be wrong, but the fact that they dumped the show within a year and a half and Mattel is going all in on classic She-Ra tells me that they're taking control of it.
Well, I don't know where they're getting this from. Well, I think a certain person who ran the new show keeps trying to get out there and drum it up to trying to get themselves back in. But this article is really hard to read because it's all over the place.
It's in English. Basically, they talk about how Noel Stevenson was trying to get Kevin Smith to get on board with like a She-Ra crossover.
People are like, oh, Kevin Smith's doing stuff. That no one said that he is.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
And he's working directly with Mattel, and Mattel doesn't seem to have much time for this version of She-Ra. If there is a She-Ra coming back, and based on the toys coming out for next year, and She-Ra being on it, I'd be more inclined to think it's classic She-Ra that they would be working with moving forward than the new She-Ra show.
Well, I think the new She-Ra show is a DreamWorks thing, and I think it's going to be a one-off. I think Mattel, because Mattel is trying to pull a Hasbro, and they want to be their own like production studio now because they're not.
Well, they don't have money for it, do they?
I don't know, but they're basically trying to make sure they rein in their properties. And yeah, as a CEO, I'd be like, we've got these classic IPs. Why the hell are we jobbing this stuff out? You know, why aren't we producing our own TV shows, our own movies? Look at what Hasbro's doing with Transformers, and look at what happened with Transformers. Hasbro tried to, you know, go a totally different way with Transformers, and they always, to sell toys, they have to bring it back to the classics.
Yep.
Look at what's selling right now. It's classic Transformers. Look at Star Wars. Disney Star Wars characters are not selling.
We just watched them stock the shelf with Star Wars at our Walmart. It was all classics.
It was all retro, because that's what sells.
And they went a lot for it. They went like $13 a figure.
$13?
It's a little droid. The little baby Yoda, it's to scale, it's itty bitty tiny, and they want $10 for it.
That's insane. But yeah, that's what they're banking on. So at the end of the day, and you know, Hasbro threw Disney under the bus because they're like, we can't sell your Disney Star Wars shit. Now, I did see a couple Disney Star Wars characters in the assortment on the retro card backs, but it was popular characters. It was a K2.
Oh, Mandalorian was one of them.
The Mandalorian, K2.
Yeah, that's true. That's
was
true.
One. So they were ones that, but you're not going to see another Rose Tico. You're not going to see more Rays.
I'd be surprised if you did see Rose Tico. But, you know, who knows? They might be dumb enough. But Hasbro, I think Disney had some kind of issue about Star Wars, because when the Baby Yoda stuff was coming out, this is where it got weird. Last year, after the Mandalorian became a big thing, and they suddenly didn't have toys, and they're like, oh, we meant to do that. They didn't mean to do that.
No.
Because if they were in production months earlier, like they claimed, they would have been ready. Hasbro wasn't putting out any Baby Yoda stuff. Then suddenly the thing that they put out first was a prototype for Mattel.
Yeah.
And like Mattel was trying to try out for the line. And then all of a sudden here comes Hasbro with theirs, and then Hasbro ended up moving forward. So I think it was like kind of like they went to Mattel to try to coerce Hasbro into playing ball, but I think Hasbro wanted to wait and see how the Mandalorian went. So it was a very interesting reading between the lines. There was a battle behind the scenes, I think, for the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda.
Yeah, because I think they were so burnt on the sequels, they're like, we're not, you know, gonna make, and even like, you know, the Rise of Skywalker, they should have had giant play sets. They should have had a new Falcon. They should have had walkers. They should have all this, and there was hardly anything for the Rise of Skywalker. But now we're seeing all kinds of retro stuff coming out because they know the market, and the market dictates. You can bitch about, you know, these things being toy commercials all you want. these shows existed because the sales were there from the toys.
Right, and they've been around for 30, she has been around 35 years, He-Man longer, because they're so beloved by the fan base and the toys they've had. You know, we did another iteration of He-Man in 2002, almost got She-Ra, but it got canceled, which probably because of toy sales. And no matter how much you want to bitch, it doesn't make a show bad just because they made it to sell toys. Like I said, Trolls is actually a pretty good movie. Sells toys like mad. DreamWorks own She-Ra, those toys didn't sell.
You know, look, it's even, you know, people like, they talk about, you know, the representation. That's the thing that's coming up now.
Oh my God, over and over and over again.
I'm going to tell you, what they're trying to do is, a lot of these media outlets, they're trying to guilt.
They're bullying. It's not guilt, it's bullying.
And we see it with Twitter all the time. You know, if you don't give us what we want, it's because you hate, you know, LGBTQ people.
But a lot of people who don't like the new show are LGBTQ people.
A lot of people who worked on the original show were LGBTQ.
Right.
You know, so, and honestly, the biggest issue I have with all of it, like, I don't give a shit that the show exists. I don't care. It's not for me. That's fine. Lots of shows aren't for me. What I have a huge problem with is the disrespect shown toward the original creators
and the
fans of the show. Now, they talked about how the She-Ra cast paid tribute to Larry DiTillio. Yeah, they used his death to promote the second season of She-Ra. They did not mention his death during panels.
It was weeks. He died.
Weeks.
And they were at an event, and they could have said, we want to take a moment to remember Larry. No, they even introduced Noelle Stevenson as the mother of She-Ra. Didn't even bother to acknowledge that he died. And then DreamWorks and the crew behind the show didn't even mention they died until they could use it weeks later to promote their new show.
Yeah, I thought that was
season.
I thought that was disgusting. I thought that you know, Marcus Scribner throwing shade at the original voice actor of Bo was disgusting, especially since he's passed away. I
think all the behavior around the show has been disgusting. And then guess what people are mad about? Well, first of all, if you take something that's been around for decades, and people have been fans of it and kept it alive for decades, and then you take it and completely change everything about it just because you're trying to basically push your own identity and your own agendas into it, you're going to get pushback. And beyond that, because it's fundamentally not even the same show at that point. You're just using character names. It's not even the same show. It's more insulting because you're trying to bank on the popularity of something as you're telling all the fans they're shitty people. I'm like, how dumb are you? And then, if it had been like, she had just done her own show and it had been like this, but it had been not She-Ra and different characters, I don't think anybody would be upset about it. I think had they not been so insulting to the fans and kept throwing shade at every media marketing piece they could do, people might have been a little more accepting of it. I mean, Melanie Britt had to flee. That's the voice of She-Ra, the original, if you don't know.
They probably don't.
Had to come out and say, and she basically said the marketing behind this has been one of the biggest problems. You stop, you know, offending and, you know, insulting original fans because they don't like the new character design. And it wasn't just character design. They literally changed like everything for no reason. I can see having some more diversity and some different body types. I can understand a little bit of change. I get that. But it wasn't just a little bit of change. It was fundamentally different in every level, but they still kept calling it the She-Ra. And then telling everybody they were bad people. Because
that's what they had the rights to. That's what they had the license to. And this is the thing. People don't understand, you know, how this works. And I talked about this, you know, when we were talking about manga and anime. These cartoon shows are incredibly expensive to make. They don't exist just to make you feel good about yourself or just to represent. And I'm sorry that that's the way it is. $500,000 to $1 million an episode. Okay.
It's got to make money somehow.
It has to make money somehow. Now, in the you know, regards to DreamWorks She-Ra, it probably, and I don't think there's going to be more because Universal's laying off right now, but it probably existed because of, you know, money coming from Netflix, subscriptions, etc. They thought it would sell merchandise. It didn't sell merchandise.
They didn't even do merchandise till like the end.
They didn't. They had what, Sonic toys? It's not like it's McDonald's. Like, Sonics are hard to find. They're not all over the place. At least around here, they're not all over the place. So you know, the reason these shows existed originally was to sell merch. The reason that anime exists is to sell manga. Anime is a commercial for manga. Believe it or not, people are like, oh, it's...
And there's a lot of merch.
And there's a lot of merch. And that's what pays for these shows. Again, they cost, a show like this, probably $500,000 an episode. You have to recoup the money, especially now. Now, what's going to happen, because Hollywood is in such a bad state right now, everything is going to be safe. everything they do is going to be safe.
Right, but animation is the one thing they're going to probably spend money on because they can continue to work on that even when they're shut down.
Right.
But they're going to go with what's going to make money because they have to make money. And if something's a beloved something, they're going to have to stick to formula. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but I guess I'm going to say it again. One of the biggest issues I think people had with this show was because whenever people had any issue with it, they're like, I like the classic, I don't like this. Even if they had said nothing else other than I watched it, it was okay, I prefer classic. Automatically, you're a racist, sexist, misogynist, whatever, because you don't like the show. No, people that can not like things and doesn't make them racist, misogynist, sexist. Oh yeah, this winner.
Well, these are. So I blacked out a lot of the names or read it out.
Well, they said maybe you don't waste money on your crappy plastic toys like your sad generation does, and I made a comment. I don't know if it's in there about sad generations as a person kind of here whining about the show. And then I said, I think I said maybe because your generation doesn't have money to spend on toys. It was, and they're like, okay, boomer, we just don't want poorly made merchandise. Give us some good merch and we'll actually make sales. They did give you merchandise and you didn't buy it.
And what's Hot Topic selling? Well, they're not selling a lot of Netflix, are they? They're selling mostly classic She-Ra.
Right. So then they were bitching about that, and I said, New York people have to make money first because they're insulting me and calling me boomer and saying my generation. Plus, you have no problem with poorly made shows, so I figured you'd have loved the half-ass Kit Bash dolls too. And then they were coming back with, well, my generation only make minimum wage, and I'm like, why do people keep thinking? I don't understand this. Money's hard for everyone. It doesn't matter your age. You can be 20, you can be 40, and that doesn't mean you're going to make more money because you're 40 years old.
No.
They keep just because you make bad choices doesn't mean that other people, shouldn't make money. But I see it often, like where we live, people are 50 years old, 40 years old, and they're still making minimum wage. So it's only because you're young. That's a load of crap. Wages have gone down over the last few years. People are struggling. People don't even have retirements now. So don't give me this load of crap.
Well, here's a good start. This is coming from the snarky former marketing executive. Don't waste your money on a gender studies degree. If you want to make more than minimum wage, if your focus is making money, you're going to find a way to make money.
Right. But I'm just saying, they keep having this idea that because they're younger, that our generation, well, first of all, it wasn't our generation that ruined you making money. It was people older than us. Secondly, money's a struggle for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, we almost lost our house before, and that was only a few years ago.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, the economy cycles. And
it's bad for everyone, not just you.
It's bad for everyone. And, yeah, I mean, I took a gut punch. I had a layoff, and yeah, we almost lost a house.
And if you have kids or you're taking care of your parents or different things like that, or maybe you're taking care of your siblings because something happened to your parents, a lot of people are in a position that that's not just them. It's not just them they have to take care of, and they have to work minimum wage. So this whole idea that age is bullshit is a load because everybody's struggling. It's not just you.
Who cares? Netflix She-Ra was great. Get over it. Well, that's one, that's an opinion. And two, it doesn't really matter if it was great or not. If it doesn't sell merchandise, it doesn't pay for itself, it will not exist.
And the video was about, oh, look, we're getting some new toys. Isn't that exciting?
Yep.
And then they're like, no, you get over what? The fact that some people are still complaining about the reboot? Says the person in the comments complaining because, we're talking about toys for for the classic toys are coming out that are new toys based on the classics.
Now, this is what gets me, though. And this is the thought process behind it. The reboot had amazing creators and writers who will be remembered long after the Toy Line show and He-Man's writers and are already working on other amazing things. Actually, I don't know if they are. One and two, they kind of went out of their way to try to bury the creators of the original show, and they worked on a lot of things other than He-Man. In fact, we had our friend John Celestri was an animator on He-Man She-Ra, and there were a lot of veterans that worked on those shows. They might have just been toy commercials to you people, but there was a lot of TLC that went into the shows.
If people, here's what they're getting so mad about. They're afraid that their beloved things are going to get taken back to the classic version, and they don't want the thing that matters to them, that represents them, that resonates with them to be changed. Hello? That's why everybody's mad in the first place. It's the exact same thing.
50-year-old divorced men have more money than 9-year-old girls. Actually, 9-year-old girls weren't watching She-Ra. It was like 24-year-old people were watching She-Ra. Come on.
Why does it always have to be the men are divorced? It's always the men are divorced.
I'm going to talk. That's the last. I'm
like, really? And you notice how it's always the exact same damn talking points? It's like they have like they're given a sheet. Here's their appropriate responses. And then a lot of people, like, you say to them, you're like, well, did you watch the original? No. I'm like, well, then what the flip?
They're salty. They're salty because it's over a year and a half. They dumped the entire show, the course of a year and a half. There's probably not going to be more, and Mattel wants to make money, so they're going back to classic She-Ra.
Normally, I don't even talk about the comments. I wasn't going to.
They're just so ridiculous.
But Kneon wanted to.
I do. I'll tell you why I do. Because
we don't even read them half the time.
We don't even read. Yeah, I'll be honest. A lot of people, we very seldom read all the comments because
we don't have time.
No offense, but we don't have time to read all the comments.
We read some of them.
You know, sometimes one will pop up. It'll be a new one or something. It'll just start, like a lot of people will be talking to it. We'll be like, what the hell? But this is very typical. This and on Twitter. Anytime we talk about new She-Ra, it brings out some of the freaking most salty, weirdest people.
Yeah, they're yelling at you about not liking the new show as they're complaining because the new show's over.
Right. So how does it feel? How does it feel? I gotta say, I'm mostly disappointed by the comments section here. Adults here are throwing a pity party that a show filled with diversity isn't getting accurate toys.
No, we weren't. We were talking about the new toys coming out and how the old show didn't, or the new show didn't have toys until the end. But look, they're bringing classic He-Man out. That was what the video was about that they're complaining about.
Then the amount of stupidity that goes into saying Netflix She-Ra is woke or an SJW show, honestly.
Okay, whoa, I have to stop you here. The amount of stupidity that goes into that, saying it's woke or SJW, they literally changed all the characters in the show to be either like the Seahawk. They made him like a doofus. They completely race bent Bo. They turned around and changed all the body types because they want to show body diversity. They made a bunch of couples lesbian for no reason. But no, there's no agenda in this show at all, guys, at all.
Well, that's the thing, because straight people don't understand the importance of representation and how anti-SJWs live in their own bubble of reality. No, it is you living in the bubble.
There are a lot of people who are not straight, white, and male who are mad about the way the new show has been handled and how they have been treated as fans of the original.
Some of our most vocal people in the comment sections of the She-Ra videos are not straight white men who are like, they're taking a steaming piss on the original show. The original show was produced, directed by, animated by many people who are not straight white men. Again, you're living in the bubble because Tumblr tells you that this was the case, also, but if you actually did some research...
I don't understand the importance of representation. That's right. That's why I totally don't care at all that all the redheads in Hollywood are being race bet to black people. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I mean, they keep taking the redheads and changing them for no reason other than, and then almost often it's people of color. And I'm like, you know, I have a problem with that, but I don't understand. I don't understand not getting that representation matters.
Oh, God. We don't have enough money to
That's the other dude. That was the rest of it.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
You got him out of order.
I got him out of order. We don't have enough money to waste on toys because we get paid minimum wage, thanks to your generation.
No, it wasn't our generation, sorry.
They think we're boomers. We're actually...
Yeah, it was not us.
We're actually between Gen X and millennials. We're not as old as you seem to think we are. Second, how is this show poorly made? The original She-Ra, you didn't even say that, had characters that were reskins of other characters, because unlike modern She-Ra, which was made to tell a story, classic She-Ra was just made to sell cheap toys.
Every stupid talking point from the, you know.
Oh, for God's sake. Here we go. Oh, Catcher Avatar. As soon as a Catcher Avatar pops up on here or on Twitter.
It happens a lot.
I'm like, oh God, here it comes. Here it comes. Garbage YouTubers keep saying it didn't sell enough toys, as if that's what makes a quality show good. Well, it has to pay for itself.
But wait, that's what makes a quality show good. It says people arguing that the original wasn't quality because it was made to sell toys.
To sell cheap toys.
Which is it? I thought you got done telling us that the original sucked because it was made to sell toys, because I thought toy sales don't equate to quality. Would you make up your mind?
Yet you effing morons, as if that's the be-all, end-all of what makes a good show, your doll collection.
Well, at least the Mattel knows we spend money.
Yeah, right. Making quality kids shows not beholden to toy makers, I believe, is a great thing. They don't pay for themselves. There's no more advertising because they're not... See, what used to happen is not only did the shows sell toys, right, but... if the show didn't have a toy line, there were a lot of shows in the 80s and 90s that didn't really have a toy line or the toys were secondary, they still had advertising. okay, since they're on Netflix now, most of them are on streaming services, they don't even have that.
Right.
So
and if people aren't watching it.
Right. Then they're not getting however they distribute the Netflix subscription money, which I don't know. I think it probably works like Amazon, where it's a percentage based on views. So they get paid per views. And if they're not pulling the views, they're not recouping the cost. A show like She-Ra probably is $500,000 an episode. You know, it's a lot of money, and DreamWorks sunk it into it, I think, thinking that they were sitting on a gold mine. Classic IP, it's gonna, because Voltron did really well, and Voltron actually sold toys. But they also brought classic Voltron back at the same time to mix it in. But I got both. We got both here.
Yeah, we bought both.
We got both.
Because the show wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. So with newer She-Ra, we got a completion of multiple arcs in the finale.
Well, first of all, they said she was a communist not understanding, or he or she was a communist not understanding, but about it has to make money, which is what you just said. And then they're like, oh, it goes on and on. We're not going to read the whole thing.
I just wanted this part. The original was before my time, but I looked some of it up. It was less than mediocre, repetitive, meant to
how do you know it's repetitive? How do you know it's regressively selling toys and it was repetitive if you just now looked it up and you only watched a little bit of it?
Actually.
It had twice as many episodes, too.
Yeah, actually, I want to talk about that because Filmation did not want these shows to be straight up toy commercials. In fact, there were a lot of characters on the Filmation show that did not have toys. And I think Mattel was at the time a little salty about that because it wasn't as blatant as like Transformers, where every other episode they're introducing new toys. You know, She-Ra, they had like their core characters, and they had a lot of characters that did not have toys just because it told a good story to have these other characters. Same with He-Man too. And I think, again, Mattel was kind of like, could you bring some more characters into it? Or they would bring these other quote-unquote toys into it. They'd only be in like one episode, and then they'd disappear. Like, okay, we brought our Snake Men in for an episode. We brought Tongue Lasher in for one episode, and he's out the door,
Well, I just like this part. They're talking about the voice acting. And voice acting, Catcher, Scorpion, Perfume. Wow. Right. You're right, because that's Friend Squad! Oh my God! Is so much better. Oh, and do we want to talk about the prom fascination these people have with prom?
I don't understand.
The flipping showrunner posted that she was asking her wife to glom. I'm like, they're 20-some-year-old women. What the literal F? They're obsessed with being kids. They're obsessed with being in high school. And you're going about the voice acting sucks. Yes, that's right, because, oh my God, that Friend Squad is so much better.
I didn't go to prom.
Of course.
I didn't go to prom.
I should have known that. Oh my God.
I didn't go to prom, and I'm not obsessed about going to prom. Do you want to go to prom with me? We'll have Clownfish prom.
No, I don't, prom. Because I don't want to go to prom.
It's like, I'm too old for this shit.
I want to go to Lowe's and buy stuff.
Yeah, so here, I mean, this too, like, make up your mind. Going back to formula, OG, He-Man, She-Ra are the gayest shit around. The creators are openly gay. We've been telling you that.
Yes, we've been saying that.
So which is it? Is it they're anti-gay because they're talking about how they they're straight washing the propaganda, righty propaganda.
I don't know. This comment was all over the effing place. And we talk about ugly Funko Pop trash. What? What Funko Pop trash?
We don't like Funko Pops.
We have some, but we mention it like off and on, but we don't. I don't understand what they talk about the new toys.
Yes.
They're not even Funko, you uneducated person.
This is some quality collector edition shit. This is not, I don't know, whatever. This is why we don't read the comments very often, because we read them and we're like, what the hell are they even talking about? No shit, Sherlock. Netflix She-Ra had 5-season series finale several months ago because they greenlit the whole show.
And 5 seasons, by that, it's like literally, they always say, well, the original only had 2. Yes, and they still had twice as many episodes.
It seems pretty obvious Mattel would go forth and ride the hype train. Okay, this one pissed me off. They would go forth and ride the hype train by forming 2 new Masters of the Universe series. That's just smart business. I'm surprised they did Princess of Power toys at all. They should have had them ready for the debut because they didn't plan on doing toys.
Yeah, no, if they were going to do toys, they're not wrong there. They should have had them ready. And yep. I do agree with them on that.
They had no idea the show would be a hit and didn't take the risk. I don't
think the show was a hit. That's the problem.
I don't think it was.
It wasn't worth the risk.
Thankfully, it gave them enough of a signal that Masters of the Universe can still sell to the mainstream.
It's been! They've been putting Masters of the Universe out for years!
Like it or not, all this new He-Man stuff is coming at us because new She-Ra paved the way, testing the waters for a relaunch.
Go show that link. Okay, yeah, because wasn't it great that, all these toys were out only because of new She-Ra? Oh, wait, they came out before the new She-Ra show did.
They were testing the waters.
At least educate yourself before you comment. God. I mean, seriously.
And this is actually Adora. Dressed like Hordak. But yeah, this is the thing. I think Mattel made the deal to do DreamWorks She-Ra, and they basically had to sit on their hands until it was out the door before they could do anything else. That deal was made by the previous CEO. It was probably made back in like 2014, 2015.
Well, you know what I think that happened? I think that they did use She-Ra to see what would happen, but all it did was make people scream about why did you change it this way. They let it go down the way it did because then they could have a reason that to prove that there was an audience for the classic and bring the classic back. I mean, but they already are out for He-Man. It's been out for years. That was just the newer ones. They had lines before that. Oh yeah, it never left. That's the point.
Yeah, they've had collector toys. Now, what the big news is though is that these are at at retail at Walmart. They haven't done that since 2002. And now they shot themselves in the foot with that. They learned from it because 2002 they had a glut of He-Man and Skeletor figures. They weren't getting the other characters. And, that actually, again, you want to talk about toy sales. The 2002 He-Man, which was fan-freaking-tastic, ended early before they could introduce She-Ra, who they had planned to introduce.
Mad about that.
They were going to reintroduce the Horde. They had them in like one episode. They had a flashback to King Grayskull and the Horde. But they were going to introduce the Horde and She-Ra, and they pulled the plug on the show because the toy sales were not there. They couldn't justify its existence. So it's very important that the toys sell. No money, no show.
Right, and it's just, and I can tell you something else too. As a person who collects classic She-Ra stuff, when the show came out, the classic toys went up like crazy because people didn't. They were like, "Oh, I remember She-Ra. I love She-Ra," but they wanted the classic toys. They didn't want the new thing. So while the new stuff was languishing on the shelves and not selling, the classic prices were going up on eBay.
Yep.
So I don't care what you say, whine all you want, keep your same darn typical excuses, keep calling it a crap because it's a toy show. I mean, that doesn't make it bad just because it sells toys. At least it could. Can't even say that about the new show. Whine, and for all you're just salty about the new show. No, see, this proves you're just salty because the new show's over. And now you're pissed because the whole video they were making these comments on was about how they were bringing classic He-Man out. That was what the video was about.
Yeah.
And they're just salty about it.
Yeah, but look at all these, even just a couple of years ago, all these classic She-Ra characters, Mermista, Scorpia, Entrapta, Madame Raz, Seahawk. I mean, and they've been selling, and they go for a ton of money now on it.
Oh, yeah, so you're back in 2015, 2012, 2013. Yes, but thank God the new She-Ra came out to drum up interest again in classic He-Man.
Yeah, they're making these oddball characters that only appeared, once or twice in the Filmation show. They're making Granomir, who was a dragon, who was a big, massive thing. Yeah, but thank God that She-Ra came.
They even did Molar, for pity's sakes.
Molar, I know, right? We have a Molar.
We do.
So this happens. What happens is we get a She-Ra or She-Ries find one of our She-Ra videos. They get salty about it, and then they go back and they pour through our archives. We've got like 1,700 videos on this channel over the past about 3 or 4 years.
Oh my goodness.
So they go back, not on She-Ra and He-Man, but they go back and they start commenting on older videos. So this one was about Kevin Smith. I was trying to clear up the rumors about Tila being the star of the new.
And then we said that we hoped that it was true what he said, and that
Yeah. So we had this person comment. Seems like the whole story spawns from this guy being uncomfortable with a female-driven show. He made the tweet because he thought he wouldn't like it based off that piece of information. I'm an actual Masters of the Universe fan, and if that's where Kevin Smith went with it, I'd have watched. Good TV is good TV. I suggest you just watch the show, hopefully enjoy it, or discuss theories that aren't related to this guy's insecurities, and leave him to ponder why women have trouble taking him seriously romantically.
Yeah, that's why we've been married for almost 20 years. Because, he's just so anti-woman. And you guys have seen me. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm a handful. It takes one hell of a strong man to be able to get along with me in the first place. And, I love it because I am somewhat difficult sometimes. Mostly I'm not, though. Actually,
I love you.
I'm pretty sweet, actually, most of the time. But I can be full-on redhead difficult. Yes, so that was just hilarious to us because, obviously, if he doesn't like this idea, it's because he hates women. I'm
like, do you not watch?
A daughter, so.
Yeah, right. Do you not watch the channel? It's a husband and wife team most of the time, 2 kids. Oh, my bad. I meant women in general who are listening. Actually, we have a lot of female.
We do, and they often agree.
I didn't know about the marriage, so I love this though. So,
so they do a apologize for that.
Yes,
I mean, I am gonna make sure that you know that. But then they have to get another insult in there. They did apologize, so I want to point that out. But they did get another insult in there. It was hilarious.
So you really just keep talking about it, so you can put Kevin Smith's name.
We only
in the
mentioned
title.
him like once or twice, and it was only because of things that he came. He was the one who came after us.
Yes.
He came after us. We said we hoped it wasn't true. We're like, this is a rumor, but I really hope it's not true. I don't think it's going to go over very well. That's all we said.
We didn't even make a video on it. We put a tweet out there. It wasn't even a video. It wasn't even, because I couldn't verify it.
And we said we hoped it wasn't true.
We hoped it wasn't true. I didn't make a video on it. Kevin Smith is the one who singled us out and started freaking out, right? But basically implying that we're using Kevin Smith's name for views. Now, here's the thing. The Kevin Smith videos didn't get a lot of views.
No one cares.
And I was just like, I said we get more views on our channel than Kevin Smith does on his. We don't need to invoke his name for this. And this is true. Kevin Smith has Hollywood deals, but we get more views on YouTube than Kevin Smith does. So sorry, nice try. And I do hope the show's good.
We've said that many times. But we don't want it to suck. We want it to be good.
We're sure as hell not using Kevin Smith to get views. Like I said, the original Tila rumor, I didn't even make a video about it because it wasn't worth... I couldn't verify it 100%. I know the source is legit, but I'm like,
and I know they had the scripts.
Yeah, I know they had the scripts in their hand, as I understand it. So there we go. But yeah, it just seems to me that Mattel is definitely rolling it back to classic She-Ra, and she will be available at retail next year.
You can get a really good look. I shared this on Twitter. If you go check out this person's video, they have the actual panel, and they have a lot of. Look at this.
Now this is interesting. I did not expect them to bring the land shark out. I think this might be the original land shark because these figures are the exact same size as the original. So I have to wonder how many of the original vehicles they're going to bring out and just redeck
they bring out the castles and Snake Mountain and stuff. Oh my God, they brought that out.
Well, they have them for the classics,
right?
But they're so expensive. They're even going back to the show. They have a Keldor and Trapjaw pre-bionic, I guess. Trapjaw. Panthor is going to have flocking.
There's going to be two options on him.
Yeah, we've got Ram Man. Now, he's going to be like a deluxe size. I kind of wondered how they were going to handle Ram Man, if he was going to have the spring-loaded action or not, but I guess they're going to do it.
It says spring-loaded.
Yeah, so he's going to be spring-loaded. Now...
Battle Armor,
He-Man, Skeletor, Clamp Champ. What's really interesting about how they're doing this is they're kind of working front to back. So they're bringing back the older figures on one end, but then they're also bringing out the last series, which, Scareglow, Clamp Champ, Ninjor, because most people couldn't find those.
Oh my God, it almost sounds like you're an actual Masters of the Universe fan.
Yeah, you know what's funny about this? I could have had as many of the 1987 figures as I wanted for 99 cents each. Scareglows. There was this one store in Pennsylvania called West Friedman. It was a jeweler, and they had a lot of toys there too. But they were clearing out Masters of the Universe, and they had rows and rows and rows of Scareglow, Sorceress, Clamp Champ, King Randor came out that year, 99 cents each. And now,
yeah, and I've heard this story many times.
And now Scareglow goes for like $3,000 on the card. Or something like that. Some ridiculous amount of money. But yeah, they're bringing back back of the box here. We've got Panthor. Definitely want to get Ram Man.
You know what I want.
Yeah, I know you want to She-Ra. I know. There she is. There she is.
I want more She-Ra. I want more. More Mattel. More.
Oh, that's cool. They've got the commercial for the original Land Shark. I think they will. I think they'll bring back like Bashosaurus and all that stuff too. Which I love Bashosaurus.
Like I said, it sounds like you almost like you actually used to like Masters of the Universe and buy the toys and know about it.
Yep.
That you actually were a fan because I thought you weren't. You just hate women.
I just hate women. Oh, we have Wondar, the Wonder Bread.
Yep.
Triclops. So this is a fan favorite. They got to pick, and they picked
with Triclops.
Yeah. Which is pretty awesome. But yeah, so I'm telling now this is his collection here.
Now I have the video up on Twitter. You can probably link his video.
I'm going to. Yeah, this is
he has some really good stuff. So go check him out.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is still up on the PowerCon site or not. But yeah, there was no mention of Netflix She-Ra really at the. Why aren't they having panels for it? Because I think they just dumped it and...
They didn't have many panels in general, to be fair. And most of the ones were related to, like, their new game coming out, which is based on classics. The new toys coming out, which are based on classics. The new Little People set, which are based on classics.
Based on classics.
You know
what happened though? I remember last year they weren't going to talk about Netflix She-Ra at all. People had a fit, a massive meltdown. So they put her on the program and all that, and they added some programming.
Can we wrap this up? My God, it's like an hour.
I know. In regards to it. And then they said, oh, we're going to talk more about Netflix She-Ra next year because it's the 35th anniversary
of She-Ra.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So, instead they bring out a classic She-Ra action figure, and everything is retro. So I'm sorry. It looks to me like Mattel's just scraping it off the bottom of their shoe at this point. And
if you don't like it, just go watch the new show because you
still got your show. You can watch it on Netflix.
You got your show. It's fine. It's all fine.
You've got your show. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Please do. This is taking way longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.